Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.
Hello all, welcome to Ganesh IAS Academy. This is the special session. In this session we will discuss about the previous year UPSC Mains question. So this session is mainly focused on how to approach the upcoming mains exam, and also we will discuss about certain terminologies used in the UPSC like critically analyze, discuss, and also they may ask your opinion, do you agree type questions. So when based on the terminology, the question answer will vary. So you may know that what is inclusive growth, okay, but the question may be like that, critically evaluate the schemes or development done by the Indian government related to the inclusive growth. So based on that term, critically analyze, drastically from the normal answer, like what is inclusive growth and what are the government did certain things to create an inclusive growth. So this is the thing that changes the answer. So you have to be more clear that what that terminology its meaning. So we will discuss that, and also how to structure the answer, and also what are the things you can add to your answer to make your answer more enriched and to get extra marks or a maximum marks. So all these things will be discussed here. So let's begin the session. The question is, the nature of economic growth in India in recent time is often described as a jobless growth. So, and the question is asking that, do you agree with this view? So it is like a opinion type question. First thing is that. Next, you have to find the keywords. The next, the main thing of this question is jobless growth. So this is the main keyword, and also it is a do you agree type question, and also it is asking for the give the argument in favor of your answer. You may take whatever it is, okay. You can say yes, I am agree with the statement, and you can start the answer, okay. See, which means you shouldn't use that yes, but your answer should convey that you are agreeing with the statement. Or else you can say that no, I am not agreeing with this statement, it is not like that. That is also correct, but in reality India is in jobless growth. That is the thing you have to accept first. So in this question you have to say that I am agreeing with this statement. Most probable answer for this question is you have to agree with that statement, but because that is the reality in India. India is facing the huge jobless growth. That is, the economy is growing. For example, recently IMF said that India is the fastest growing country. Based on the GDP's growth rate. Okay, it is maintained at 7%. So by the way, IMF tagged India as the fastest growing country. But the issue is India have the largest population is unemployed. So India have the huge issue of unemployment crisis. We have the different type of unemployment crisis in India. For example, in Indian agriculture, it is a disguised unemployment, and also when it comes to urban area, there is a cyclical unemployment, and when it comes to IT sector, there is the issue of structural unemployment. Okay, so there are various kinds of unemployment crises faced by the Indian youngster, and also there is a frictional unemployment is happening. When it comes to another issue of the Indian agriculture is it is a seasonal agriculture. Only at the monsoon time period they have the need for a work. Okay, in the non-monsoon season, it is a lean period, so there is no cultivation, so they will be unemployed. So India have the various kinds of unemployment issue. At the same time, India is the fastest growing country. So both the things are way more contradictory. So that it means that as job plus growth. So in reality, India is in the jobless growth issue. You can't say that India is not in the jobless growth. That is the major concern. You have to accept this statement and you have to give the points related to that. Even you can quote these points itself. India is in the, for example, for a joblessness, you can say that all these things. India has the issue of frictional unemployment. India has the issue of cyclical unemployment. India is in the disguised unemployment. You can quote in one way of answering, and another way, India is called as the fastest growing country with the GDP growth rate. You can say about the decadal growth rate of GDP of India. You can say like that also. And also, when it comes to the employment, either it is stagnant or else you can say it is decreasing. In that way also you can give the answer and you can quote a certain argument in favor of your answer. It's up to you. So these are the things you have to follow, and you have to know that what is job plus growth. Okay, next. So for this you can give an example as, for the first of all, the first part of the question is it's intro. So intro, you can simply say what is jobless growth. The economy is only growing, but the employment is not in the growing phase. It is either in a stagnant phase or else it is in the downfall phase. In that way also you can just say, or else you can quote that IMF data, and also you can quote the NSSO survey data of India's unemployment. Okay, so IMF, and then you can club it in the intro itself. That is the one way of answering. Okay, so first, second or else third, you can use a graph. For example, GDP's growth rate, and when it comes to the employment, its growth rate is like this. You can say like that also. It's up to you, because for this question you have the variety of intro. You can use it. It's up to you. I just giving you the three types. Next is the body part of the answer. So the question is, do you agree with this view? So you can say that as per the data, I am agreeing with this statement and the arguments in favor of this. You can give the first point is structural transition not occurred. So which means you have to say that there is a huge unemployment, at the same time there is a growth rate. So the answer, your point should justify both the things. So in this statement, structural transition not occurred, which means usually the sectoral growth happens will be like primary, then it leads to the secondary, then it leads to the tertiary. This is how the structural transition should occur. But in reality for India, it is like from primary to tertiary. So here 60% of the GDP comes from the tertiary sector only. Okay, when it comes to secondary, it is around 25. For primary, it is around 21%. So this is the reality, which means we just left the secondary sector and we switched to the tertiary sector. So that leads to the joblessness, because people who are rest in this primary sector is around greater than 50% of the Indian population in the primary sector. They couldn't switch into this tertiary sector, because for a tertiary sector you either need to be skilled, and also you need to be well versed in the education system. Okay, you need to learn certain languages. So all the things needed in this tertiary sector. Okay, but when it is if the India is transitioned to the secondary sector, means it is a labor intensive in reality. So you can manage it, but it not happened. So that leads to the joblessness. At the same time, due to the growth of the tertiary sector, that leads to the economic growth. This is the way you have to address the answer, because a single point have to convey both the things, joblessness at the same time economic growth. So that is the way of giving the answer. Next, unskilled and underskilled labor. Obviously, when it comes to the India, the major issue is that only. So only there is the lacking in the employment opportunity for a youth. Next point is imbalance in the demand and supply in the job market. Absolutely. When it comes to the demand, it is only 1,000, means when it comes to the supply, it is around 1 lakh, because India has a huge population and also India is in the demographic dividend. Demographic dividend is nothing but the huge chunk of people is rest in the younger generation, which means they are ready to work. But the issue is the supply of the employable people are higher, but the employment opportunity is lower. That is the issue. Again, this issue is the outcome of the lower growth in the secondary sector, because secondary sector is not grown, so that leads to the unemployment. Next, automation and the technological growth. Obviously, which means it is a structural unemployment is happening. In reality, in India, due to the huge growth in the automation, Internet of Things, and then AI, that leads to the joblessness. At the same time, the minuscule people who are able to adapt to this job, adapt to this technology, they are growing. So by the way, the economy is growing, at the same time the huge chunk of people are unemployed. So that leads to the joblessness and the jobless growth. Next, and the most important thing is informal sector. Please note the point. Around 60% of GDP is from this informal sector, and it contains around 90% of India's population. This is the major issue. This is the major issue. If it is an informal sector, means they are vulnerable to getting thrown out of their jobs. That is the major issue. That leads to the frictional unemployment. So it is a ready to blast. That is the major issue. When it comes to the informal sector, consider that it is a COVID-19 situation. Most of the informal sector got affected due to the informalization. Due to the lockdown, they can't perform anything. So another major thing is the joblessness is due to this informal sector. Okay, so these are the points you have to give in validating to the jobless growth. Afterwards, so it is 12.5 mark question. So in that scenario, you have to give certain measures done by the government to overcome this jobless growth, or else you can give the suggestions. So but for better answering means you should give certain government measures to overcome this jobless growth. These are the things there are n number of schemes, you can list certain points. Okay, it's around 5 to 6 points you have to list it. First is like Skill India, Startup India, Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Prostan Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Muntra Yojana, National Rural Livelihood Mission, National Urban Livelihood Mission, MG Narega scheme. So there are n number of possible schemes you can list it. But you have to do that, because it's a 12.5 mark question, means even though the question is not asking that, but you have to say that. And also you can give certain suggestions, 1 or 2 points. At last, the conclusion should be like this: India is in the demographic dividend, so make it as a dividend. You have to give certain skills to the people. By the way, we can overcome the demographic burden. India is working on it, or else India's employment rate is growing based on certain data of ILO or NSSO survey. So this is the way you have to conclude the answer. Conclusion should be, try to give it is in a more positive way. That is the most important thing. This is the way you have to address the question. So first you have to find what the terminology used. Here it is, do you agree, which means a opinion type question. Next, you have to find the keywords, and also you try to address that keyword in an extensive and diverse manner. And based on the mark allocated for the question, you can give any extra points like suggestions or government measures. If it is a 10-mark question, means you just list a point, that is enough. If it's a 12.5 mark question, means try to give certain brief answers, okay, without listing the points, just try to give certain brief answers to that. That is the most important thing. And also in the same time you can use certain diagrams like this, okay. So make some innovative approach, try to give some data, try to use certain graph like things, so or else try to use a flow chart. So if it is a economic question, means definitely the introduction should have certain economic terms. Try to incorporate it. That will enrich your answer. Last day we discussed about a savings rate. In that we try to use the definition for a savings rate. We try to use a certain economic term as personal disposable income. So this is the way you can make a question as looking like more of economy. That is the thing you have to do. That is the thing you have to incorporate in your answer. Okay. So we will discuss in the next question. Thank you.